Hello and welcome back to Boring Dad Gaming, where today we're going to be playing some more Roottreemania. Yeah, we're going to continue off where we left off. We made some progress last time. I did think I locked in 8 in the last episode, which was pretty good. Maybe we can keep up a 4 per episode average. Well, hopefully that average will go up, otherwise the series will be quite a long one. So I think where I'm going to pick up today is looking a bit further into Mark Clementine. It seemed like on his internet search it was quite a rich vein of potential leads. So going back to his entry, there's some stuff we picked up here. So there's a couple of things to maybe look further into. So we've got Basket Baby of 1950, which could potentially lead to something. A few sites about true stories focused on and around religion mention that in 1950 a gospel singer named Mary once found herself dealing with a real-life Baby Moses situation. Now just remind myself, yeah, Mary Beth, that's his mum. Apparently she was a rather prominent supporter of the concept of adoption. Yeah, that tracks. And someone decided to test how much. They left a baby on her doorstep in a basket. Sure they did. According to the site, she adopted him without question and raised him as her own son. Although it wasn't national news, in many circles he became known as the Basket Baby, and even went on tour with her as he grew up. None of the websites state who the woman or baby were, likely to prevent people from looking into either of the people too closely. From context, you know that it's Mary Beth, who would later be shunned due to her personal life, and her son Mark, who would later be known as Crocodile Clementine. I guess I could look specifically for that, although I expect we'll just go back to one of the previous entries, yeah. There was one other thing on here that said he got national media attention when he punched the principal, Billy Sims, so maybe we'll look at that. See if that comes up with anything. Yeah, so he's the principal of Sandstone Canyon High School, who had his 15 minutes of fame in '94 when he was punched by Crocodile Clementine at a graduation ceremony. So this, we might get information about Crocodile's daughter here. It sounds like that's what he was doing, was attending that. Pretty much every news organisation, from trustworthy to tabloid, seemed to have their own take on the altercation. It wasn't the punch that captured the nation's attention, however. Instead, it was Billy Sims's matter-of-fact response to the threat and his comments afterwards, as heard in a now-famous audio clip from someone who was recording the ceremony. Billy saw Mark hop onto the graduation stage and said, "Sir, you'll want to sit back down or we'll have a problem." At that point, Crocodile reportedly sucker-punched him in the face. Billy, apparently only slightly dazed, said, "All right, sir, I guess we'll have a problem." Clementine tried to throw another punch, but Sims anticipated it and performed a maneuver that spectators described as a wrestling move mixed with a backwards somersault, which immediately brought both men to the floor, with Sims straddling Clementine, keeping him neutralized. As security arrived, the recording captured someone asking, "How did you do that?" And Sims' response was famously, "Trust me, I'm as surprised as anyone." Okay. So we don't have daughter's name or anything, but there is this high school. I wonder if there might be a list of graduates or something. Yeah, okay. Well, that wasn't quite as rich a source of info as I was hoping, I'll be honest. How many children did he? So he had 2 children, one of which is going to be a daughter. Not sure who. Well, we have these confidential company well, actually, that's going to lead to secretaries and stuff, isn't it? But we should have a look. I haven't actually opened this yet. So you were given some partial staff records to cross-reference by Sam Madsen. These records are based on old tax mailing information and only detail the employees that work directly for Roottree or in their corporate office. The many labourers on their farms and in the factories are not listed. You're not sure how helpful it will be, except for cross-referencing guys' secretaries and visits overseas. Spider searching people just because they're listed will likely be very time-consuming and a waste of time. Well, that's a bit of a clue, isn't it? So don't bother looking up these guys. Okay. So this is... Okay, so are these organised... Yeah, these are organised by year then. Okay. So I guess if we have first or last names only, we can kind of use this to get the secretaries kind of in order. Okay. Oh, she was a cashier, but I think she had been a secretary. Is there a Joanna here? Robertson. So that's probably Joanna Robertson, right? Now, how many have I got kind of in that I think might lock in? That's probably the only one at the moment. So let's keep working on this. So we have Christine, who I think was sometime in 78, 79 kind of time. Yes, this is 76 to 77. Christine Farrow could be. Oh, Christine Garland, okay. Well, she married Stephen Garland. I'd have to go back and check, but did she leave and then come back and maybe had got married in the meantime? Oh. Oh, probably because she got married. Yeah. Oh, that makes sense. Okay, so this would be, I think, Pharaoh. Now, we don't have a picture of her. I mean, there might be other info in here. Elizabeth Pharaoh. Now, I mean, it's been a few days since I played, so I'm trying to remember if she had mentioned like a mum or something that worked on a Roottrie farm or something, or in the factory. Not sure, but we'll keep Pharaoh. Either way, that kind of tracks. Then we got a bit later. Does this have any sort of main text? In 77, it was announced that Zach would be retiring and Guy would take over at the start of 78. They held a retirement party in November before spending the final month working on the transition. Okay, so then in 78, Guy took over. This began a particularly volatile period in the company's staffing. Many travel expenses were listed and Guy began trying to develop new five-piece flavors. Okay. God, yeah, there's a lot of names here. I'm kind of going down to see if there's anything that could be a lead. Otherwise, we'll probably just come back to this as like a reference material when we're trying to sort out the names. Butterscotch. Well, that sounds like it could be nice. Caviar. Oh dear. The famous caviar flavour. 80 to 81. Volatility continued. Following changes recorded. Okay. Zigua. No idea what that is. We'll probably find references to some of these events and stuff in other materials. Guy Hudson died in 82, so the first few months of that year continued along the same pattern as they had before. Things quickly changed when Ernie took over. Most of the extraneous expenses ended, and all of the secretaries, most hand-picked by Guy, were let go. Sam Madsen left Roottrees in 84, so this last set of books I have access to. Okay, all the flavour development. Okay, but so we're going to refer back to this probably fairly often. Have I got any kind of other names in temporarily? Not at this moment. So yeah, so we'll probably have to refer back to that. So that's a little disappointing in that I was hoping for that to be quite a rich vein of information. Okay. There's still a lot of info here. It's got to be this Cicely Sanchez. When did this come out? So this is 99. The guy died in 82. Because there was another entry that said Like he'd asked her to do it, or kind of at least implied that was the case? We do have the Portland Telegraph now. I wonder if that might... No. Yeah, well, I might... We'll probably just find... Yeah, I might just... Well, I'm going to try and go down this Cicely Sanchez tree then. I might just have to reread a little bit. Lawsuit. Cicely didn't have the rights to distribute the photos. I did that, didn't I? Keep going. Need to find this book. I might... Let's go down this line again. Yes, that's the same thing. We have read this. I'm just kind of going through, just seeing if anything else jumps out at me. I think I'm going to keep searching her name in the various periodicals. Is she in Modern Music Monthly? That's going to be the same one. Yeah. Okay, this is new, I think. Ruby Spratt was featured in the Portland Telegraph when she was in high school in an article called Local Teen Making Change for Foster Care System. According to the article, Ruby Spratt grew up in the foster care system, who was apparently the valedictorian of her school and as a Girl Scout who at the time of the article was earning her Gold Award. This required a project to help the community, and Ruby chose to raise money to build a fountain she called Foster Fountain. We might look that up as well. The fountain has a few small pedestals that stick up high above the water. People are expected to toss coins into the fountain for good luck and be encouraged to aim for the top of the pedestals. All the coins scraped from the bottom are slated to be donated to Portland's foster care system. The coalition of local businesses that sponsor the fountain have committed to matching any of the donations that successfully land on targets. I just want to keep... Well, I doubt she's going to feature in any of those. Okay. Website for Portland's Parks and Rec mentions under a trivia section that it was originally conceived by Ruby Spratt, an alumni of the foster care system. You know what? I'm wondering... This Ruby Spratt's coming up a lot. I'm wondering if she's going to be, like, in here. But for some reason, I'm only speculating. I can't think how that would come up at this point, but that's my working theory. As more business... Fountain is unique, especially if a coin lands one of the targets, it sponsors... This is a new image. Each penny becomes $1. So I want to go... yeah, the Cicely Sanchez thing. So what does this say on the main search again? So I've looked up her books. There was nothing really interesting there. So this is a commission to write for Guy Hudson. Sure, that might just be a typo. It might just be about Guy Hudson, because, I mean, he was nearly 20 years dead by the time this magazine came out. Need to get hold of this book. Search for, I mean, it's got to be the title, but what if we just do Van Gogh? I mean, it's got to be the title, so there's a bit of a vain hope, I suppose. I'm going to look these up again. Ah. And it's here, but again, I'm just not seeing the link. I'm going to go back. Let's look in the periodicals for these first of all. It's probably going to be the same article. Yeah, so we looked at that already. Might be worth looking at again, but... I mean, you never know. She might have represented someone who would appear in one of these. Oh, that's not right. Hang on. What was it called? It's probably in here anyway. I think we've seen this. I mean, I can't overlook the fact that she's got the same surname as Mark Sanchez, who was the pilot. I don't know where that fits in yet, though. Oh, yeah. So Elizabeth, this relates to Garland Nee Barrow. So Elizabeth did work on the farm, yeah. So that tracks with what we saw in the files. Still don't have a photo of her, though. Yeah, we don't know this. So this would have been way before those files, so... But she may have been a long server. There was someone who had worked for the company for a long time, wasn't there? So I think 19... When do we think that could have been? 21. So someone who'd worked for the company for like 50 years, wasn't there? Beth, I think it's Beth Knox, because if we go to the last entry, I'm sure there was like yeah, it may have been earlier. Here we go, 76. Beth Knox 50-year work anniversary bonus. So that's 26. I mean, it kind of tracks. I think that's enough for me to put that in there. Especially given that she went by Beth. So, yeah, I don't have a photo for Elias is the weird thing. I mean, if I just spider search him... Let's go through this. Elias and Gwyneth were never really celebrities, but the general public's perception of them as classic faces associated with the Roottree Candy Company had always been in somewhat high regard. This was Elias's intention as a family man with his family brand. Since Six Pieces, the Candy Company has placed much less of an emphasis on Elias as a historical brand-connected figure. There have also been those who have argued that it was his right to decide how to split his inheritance and that he did nothing wrong. This has led to some heated television exchanges and countless op-eds. The first Anderson Maple Farm only used to be a popular... We should look that... I don't think I've looked that up. We should look that up. Popular tourist attraction during the summer months when it had special tours. It has since seen an explosion of off-season business as some religious and political groups decided to visit to show support for their traditional values and financial rights. This rise in support was in turn followed by pickets from gay rights activists, and some particularly inflammatory organisations made their pilgrimages. Amongst all this conflict, the farm has since shut down, seemingly indefinitely. The website says check back later, but there's no date listed. The quotes from Bess Williams' book appear to have been taken down. What book was that? Oh, Family Man, the Roottree Legacy. It's probably worth looking that up. Okay, we're getting a family picture, so at least we should get a blatant corporate propaganda, yes, but we should get an Elias photo. Where else was I was going to go into the first Anderson Maple Farm as well. Okay, maybe in the periodicals. Ah. Twice each summer, the Roottree Candy Company's current head of farming, Miss Cattrall. This is probably something I might have found in the previous game, but I doubt I did. Butler County, da-da-da-da. Yeah, I was wondering if the news might have something about the protests that took place there. However, let's go and look at... So we got a photo at least, by the sound of it. Let's have a look. There he is. The man himself. It's only 85 pages long. Okay. Okay, I think pretty much all we gain from this is an Elias photo. But we know the rest is true, so that should be locked in. I feel confident about Joanna. Do with a picture of Christine Pharaoh. Did I search for Steve Garland at any point? Doesn't look like it. I was wondering in case he's... Oh. Ah, yeah, because he does this. Did I might have looked up his book then. I didn't look up his book. Maybe that's something to do. Gourmet for the Groovy. It's weird. Oh, they're cooking classes. That's not a book. Pretty sure I've done this. I did say don't search for secretaries. I just thought as she'd been such a long server at the company, there might have been something. Oof, there's a lot coming off there, isn't there? Yeah, I've not made as much progress so far this episode as I was hoping to have. I think I'm pretty sure I've looked this up. I hate the way it does that. Alright, well if we go back to notable events, have I looked up all these so far? Probably not. I've done the Rift, I've done Clark, we've done 5 Ps, 6 pieces, so I guess we could go with Roottreemania or Anonymum. Alright, let's start with Roottreemania then. Daytime Talk Show said, I'm a secret Roottree episodes. That might be something to look at. Late night hosts and guests made jokes about other lost members of the family, and there was a widely shared website where you could fill in your own name to find out if you were a secret Roottree. When you submitted your name, it simply said no, with an image of Clark Rafferty LaRue giving you the finger. Only lasted a few weeks, just long enough for 6 pieces to re-enter the charts and to trigger new printings of other Roottree-related media, included Lauren's diaries, VHSs of Gwyn's old movies, as well as countless other unauthorized biographies, which mostly seem to attempt to capitalize on the Roottree sisters, Carl and Brenda. Okay. These re-releases were too late to successfully capitalize on or extend the craze. As a result, most of them were failures, and countless novelty shirts that had variations of I'm a secret Roottree became immediately unfashionable, though some people still wear them ironically. Okay, well let's spider search that specifically. No. Okay. I'll copy it though. Let's have a look at the periodicals. Okay. Bit of a wide term, probably. Now, what was Gwyn's performing name? Was it Roottree? Yeah, I might look that up. That maybe there's something, because if she became repopularized, that might lead to something. Gwyn Roottree. Okay, so this is a newer version. Died in Paris about 3 weeks ago. After leaving Hollywood, she made no effort to stay in the limelight, and like most obituaries tend to focus on her largest role, Guys Like Us. Not much is known about her death, except it was announced that she died peacefully in her sleep while being treated for sudden, severe pneumonia. Before that, she'd apparently been in relatively good health, according to friends and family in Paris. Lauren. Tracked down by a reporter in one of the most upscale memory care facilities in Pittsburgh. She was relocated back to Pennsylvania when she began suffering from Alzheimer's. There was a minor backlash towards the reporter that tracked Lauren down, because they were caught standing on a ladder and holding their camera over the privacy wall to take a photo of her and her son Clark sitting on a bench outside near a small pond on the premises. Okay, well that sounds like that might be worth searching that. Yeah, we've seen this. Oh, what's his name? Might just be Rafferty. Or Rafferty LaRue. All right. Well, let's tell you what. Let's carry on then. We'll go to Anonymum. See what that kicks up. Second high-profile case after Felix Fellows of a potential new Roottrie being added to the trust. Instead of claiming herself a Roottrie, however, she claimed she'd slept with Guy Hudson and that her daughter was a Roottrie. So Anonymum could... okay, so... could be this one, potentially. Or that she was like... because the daughter or child wasn't Guy's. Maybe, but it doesn't mean that she didn't have an affair. She appeared in the shadows with a disguised voice and promoted an article about herself in News Times. Okay, so we'll look that up. In the TV interview and the article, she referred to her daughter as Jane Doe Roottree. The name Anonymum was not self-inflicted. It seemed to spring up organically because nobody knew how else to refer to her. The day after the News Time article, Sam Madsen publicly supported Anonymum due to some parts of the story she found particularly credible. With the momentum from Sam's endorsement, Anonymum went on a media blitz. Ultimately, this backfired. As more details came out, people became skeptical of her story due to the extreme similarity to Five Pieces. Her accusation even included many of the same details as his mother's story. This included her job and the time period, late 70s. Okay, so that's good. After fumbling the Five P's story so publicly, the Rootrees were more prepared to handle all Clansed Trust-related cases. Within a week, a DNA test proved that the daughter could not be related to the Rootrees. Each party ensured... suspected as a hoax. Some people tried to track down her true identity. The Roottree company felt pressured to put out a second statement to try to curb some of the backlash, even going so far as to say, though it was scientifically proven that Jane Doe is not a Roottree, this doesn't mean that her mother and Guy Hudson were not involved in an affair. She had every right to make her claim, as it has been verified that her stories about Guy were not exaggerations. Please leave their family alone. Beginning of the end for Roottreemania. Oh, Anonymum's affair does not appear on your updated tree. Oh, so she's not on it. It's annoying. Okay. I mean, we're still getting evidence printed out. Picture of her daughter. The first and only mention of the phrase came out of it. Okay, so we've got a cover. Let's have a look. Oh, great. They're blurred. Can I... Okay, can't click those. There's no... I want to call it... It's not inspiration. Intuition on this one. Well, let's see if this leads to anything. The anonymous woman claimed to have had an affair with Guy while she was working as his secretary. She and another woman were hired at the same time. Okay, during a transition period while many of the secretaries that had worked under Zach were already gone. Okay. She says that she and the other woman were both underqualified, as neither had typewriter experience. According to other staff members interviewed, Guy had his own requirements for hiring women. Guy Hudson liked to throw lavish parties, and the longer he was president, the more excuses he found. The anonymous woman posits that these parties mostly seem to be an excuse to have after-parties at Guy's home, featuring much more alcohol and other substances. She claims she slept with him at one of these after-parties. She confronted Guy when she found out she was pregnant. Guy didn't seem fazed, and they came to an arrangement. He paid her a significant amount of hush money on a recurring basis under the table. She used it to move away and start a new life with her daughter. When Guy died, the money stopped coming, and she assumed things had run their course. She went back to work at the department store and hoped that nobody would ever look too closely at how she paid for her house. She told everyone that her daughter's father walked out one day and never came back. She claimed that after seeing the fantastic article in News Times, she realised that she wasn't the only one this happened to. While she never worked at the Roottree company at the same time as 5P's mother Joanna, their stories seemed eerily similar, and she knew Felix was telling the truth right away. The article presented no tangible evidence. However, the reporters were able to reach out to the other woman hired at the same time, who also remained anonymous. They successfully fact-checked the timeline of both women and confirmed the existence of the infamous after-parties. 5P's case was strengthened, and this news story was subsequently published. Okay. So what does this tell us? Tells us this other woman hired at the same time is probably here, or here. Late 70s, anyway. So, if we go back to the files... Well, it gives us 4 possible options, doesn't it? Beatrice and Corinne, Lisa and Valerie. I think 76 to 77 would class as too much earlier. What did that say? During a transition period while many of the secretaries that had worked under Zach were already gone. Okay, so let's cross-ref. So Zach retiring in 77, Guy taking over at the start of 78. Right, so Christine's gone. Juliet McCullen and Doris Mays. Now, I didn't see... Oh, well, Guy probably came in a bit... Zach came in a bit earlier, didn't he? So, McCullen and Mays. Okay. That seems to suggest that we're talking about Lisa Lewis and Valerie Ewing. Okay, but they're both in there, so that's not too helpful. Okay. But I think, and it may not even be this one, it might be this one. I think that's the second woman. 79. I mean, this is kind of 78, 77, 78, so it probably is this one. I might make a note, because I might forget that episode to episode. So, was it Lisa Lewis or Valerie Ewing? What does the duck say? I didn't even use this in the first game. What does he say now? You found it's worth looking at some stuff again. Okay, what about? Right. Okay. Thanks, Rubber Duck. Let's have a look at Caroline Morden. Okay, we're getting some stuff now. She did a television interview. Someone has uploaded a partial transcript. It's only her answers. Anne is missing the questions. It creates a somewhat confusing reading experience, but does give you a bit more history about some family members. Okay, cool. Well, that could be useful. Let's have a look. Thanks for having me. Never really fit into the family. Didn't surprise me. She could have put me... this is probably talking about Sam's book. I almost got arrested for stealing the spark plugs out of all her tractors. Yes and no, they never tried to kick me out or send me to live on a farm, if that's what you mean. But I was already pretty unpopular, and once everyone learned why I divorced my husband, few people paid me any attention, so she came out as gay. She's my wife. I forget... She's in the wife's in the family tree, but I can't remember her name. Not legally, but we've been together for half our lives. Call it what it is. I was 20 and just had my daughter. I hate to look back on that time because I was a terrible mother the first few years. I left my daughter with my ex-husband and followed Guy on a private jet to Europe. He lost a tooth and a client. I found love and a better understanding of who I was. Still, in our family's eyes, his trip was somehow more acceptable. Explain that. No, I couldn't stand him. Our family wrote off his behaviour like he was some huge fan of romance or women. That's got to be Guy. But he didn't like the entire woman. Oh, it was doubly awkward for me because he was more supportive than most. I slowly figured out it was because he assumed I would be as shallow as he was. He was a workaholic. This might be related to Ernie. Ernie was a bit of a workaholic. He seemed nice enough and did a good job. I don't know him well. That was one of Sam's problems with our family. None of us did except Carl. Honestly, I get why she's pissed. Or could be Sam's dad's? I don't know. I'd rather not speak ill of the dead, not unless you want more stories about Guy. With Carl, though, all I can say is we used to be friends before they sent him to private school. He came back a lot judgier. It made sense when they made him president. He was a lot like my father after they disciplined the fun out of him. After I started protesting the farms, he stopped returning my calls. We could look up Carl again, I guess. Oh, well, he's harder to label. When I was a teenager, he was basically drunk or high or both. That's got to be Clark. He actually used to sell me pot. His problems with women were different than Guy's, but he never really judged me. I guess he knew it would be pretty hypocritical to judge anyone for anything. Back then, he was destructively unreliable in every way, but nowadays, he's just kind of boring and old. I prefer that to how he used to be, and to Guy and Carl, but it's still a cautionary tale. I hope I'm never that boring and old. Okay, not a huge amount here, but does suggest... I probably have Googled Guy Hudson. That was probably one of the first things I did. Did I search Guy Hudson in the periodicals? Something about his crash? Yeah, we've seen that. Okay. There's also Carl. Damn it. Ooh, you do come across an article about a Kristen Valdez, who claims to have been Carl's high school sweetheart before Brenda. She does not make any claim about having had a child with him. She simply appeared to be paid to talk about his early life. Most of it's boring. She says that they met up when he was sent to a private school near her hometown and broke up when he graduated and moved back to Butler County. Let's look her up. Oh, okay. Would he have been in Portland? No. Old article... Hmm. Oh, maybe I can search this in the periodicals. Another thing I mean, I don't know if it will lead to anything searchable, but there is obviously these European parties that are going to be on the expenses. I'm not sure how to search for, like, you know, Guy, because I can only search for one person or concept at a time, so I don't know how to search for, like, his trips. I think obviously stuff was probably happening on some of these, like, but I don't know how to kind of search for that. Now, were these actual events? Like, were they titled as such, you know? Like, I don't... Like, I think there's probably quite a lot to discover from these things, but I'm just not sure how to search for them. Like, I bet all this stuff things would have happened in, right? Ah, let me... Fine. There's got to be a lot of stuff to shake loose from this, but how do I search for it? Ooh, I bet there's loads of stuff to come out of those if I can just find a way into it. I don't know how we're going to get this photo from 1926 as well. Problem for another day. I think we'll leave it there for now. Again, a bit of a frustrating episode where I don't feel like I've made any real progress. Certainly not in terms... Well, I mean, I think I've locked in a couple of entries and identified a couple of other people who are just waiting photos. But I guess I'll leave it there for now. I'm just a little... Like, I know he was going out on trips and probably getting up to stuff. I know that he was having all these parties. Stuff probably happened. But how do I search for them? There isn't like a smoking gun type thing just yet. Anywho, I'm going to leave it there. We'll come back next time and hopefully make a little more progress. But thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, if you could hit that like button, that'd be fantastic. Do leave a comment as well. Let me know your thoughts. If you had any advice on how to, you know, get to the heart of the matter in some of these things, that would be good. The problem I have is that for periodicals and stuff, you have to know the name of the periodical, like a French local newspaper, for instance, that might have recorded something that happened there. I would have to know what that was called, but I don't. So, I mean, you can't just search for, like, French newspaper, can you? Yeah. I don't know. Paris Times. Yeah. No, I don't know. So, there's obviously something I'm missing here, but I'll see if I can get into that a bit more next time. I might even... I don't want to look up a guide as much as I want to kind of get a steer on how to burrow down into these entries. I might look that up, because I think that'd be quite a rich vein of stuff. But yeah, let me know in the comments your thoughts anyway. And if you're watching this and not yet subscribed to the channel, if you could do that, that'd be fantastic. So thanks very much, and I hope to see you next time. Bye for now.